Okay, so welcome back. This is part 2 of She's Got Multiple Baby Daddy Syndrome. And this is 2 of 2 because the first one got cut off in the middle of me saying something because I think my battery was running low. However, I'm back. And what I was trying to say before I got cut off is that we're raising a whole generation of females or women who can't seem to take responsibility for the actions that they've brought on themselves or that they've done and the consequences of those actions. It's somebody else's fault all the time. And basically what it really boils down to is that we're raising a bunch of narcissistic women. They never grow past a certain level of maturity because when you are raised not to accept responsibility, you can never really mature. And so therefore you have an arrested development. And I think I gave you guys the example of the lady I was talking to who has 2 daughters who were pregnant at the same time, 6 months after each other basically. And the oldest one has a child, and the child is the 5th child of a guy who has like 5 babies from 5 different chicks, or has had 5 babies from 5 different chicks. I think he has like 3 that actually survived. I think the other ones got like aborted or either miscarried or whatever. Nevertheless, the guy has multiple women with kids from him. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing either, but I bring that point up because I was telling you about the fact that the mother was telling me after I asked her where the father was at, and she said, oh, he's this and he's that, and he doesn't want anything to do with the child. He probably didn't want nothing to do with the kid in the first place. He didn't want a kid from her. He's just, but he wasn't doing it not to have a kid from her either, and neither was she. And honestly, the ultimate responsibility is on her, because why? She's the woman, and it's up to her whether she opens her legs to have sex with a guy. You as a women, it's your responsibility to keep your legs closed, and it's your option to open them up for whomever you want to open them up to. And I'm not talking about in a case where there's rape or anything like that, but you're the gatekeeper. So if you're the gatekeeper, you're not doing a really good job of keeping the gate, because a lot of women that I know are having babies by a bunch of losers. I can't even imagine. I can't even remember the last time I actually had a conversation with a woman that says, you know what? A young woman at that. Not an older one, but one between the ages of 18 and 35. One that said, yeah, I have a kid. I have a couple of kids, from the same man. We're both married to each other. And, he's a great guy. He's a great father. No, that's not what I hear. I hear most of the time, yeah, well, I have a baby, and and he don't have nothing to do with my son. Well, I wonder why. What were you doing to get that son? What were you doing to get that kid? Well, I didn't really know him that well. Oh, so it was a one-night stand then, basically. Well, no, not that, because I'm not no hoe. Okay, that's questionable. Anyhow. But what I found really interesting was that the lady who I was talking to, the woman I was talking to, her defense for her daughter was, the daughter's kid is no good and blah blah blah, and he doesn't want to help. Well, what lady? I've known this lady for a while, and I've always known her daughter was a little whore. She was whoring around when she was like 14, 15 years old. And now she's just a 21-year-old whore, and who's got caught up with a baby from a dude that was just using her and abusing her, and she was allowing it. Why? Because that's the lifestyle she lived. And so now this kid has to suffer a life with a single mom who can't keep her cooch under control and can't keep her legs tied together, even if she had a rubber band around her ankles. And this kid has to suffer being in a single parent home. And I don't care what nobody says. I don't care how much money a woman makes as a single parent. It ain't easy. And I don't care what nobody said. I don't care what Jill Scott, because, you know, she had a little article in the paper saying, oh yeah, you know, it takes a village to raise a kid and blah blah blah. Nah, it takes a mom and a dad to raise a kid, not a village. You don't need a village to do that. So I don't care what she says either, but you need a father in the home, man. That's the reason why we got all this mess going on that we got going on now, because you don't have enough dads in the homes. You know, kids need their dads. They need both parents. You know, make a whole kid with you know, they need two healthy whole parents, a male and a female, to come together and raise that kid. Because there's things that a woman can't teach a kid, and there's things that a man can't really show a kid either. You need both sides of the coin to make a whole person, to grow, to raise a whole person, a child with a whole person kind of thing going on there. You know what I mean? You know, it just takes two parents. You know, it takes both the male and the female, a father and a mother, to do that. And it never was meant for women to raise kids on their own. And what you see when you see a bunch of women raising a bunch of kids, especially sons, you see them effeminate. They don't stand up against women. You know, they play women because really they don't have a love for women because of what their mothers put them through. They don't have a respect for male authority because they didn't have no male in the house. So it's just jacked up, man. It's just real jacked up, and the situation is just really just nasty, you know, in the end. Because, you know, overall, I'm not saying that there's not those exceptions to the rules, but what I always tell you, the exception to the rule is not the rule. It's an exception. So the majority of the time, you don't get that. You don't get an exception. The majority of the time, you get what the rule produces. And so, therefore, these kids are just growing up, and they don't have the skills that they need, that they would learn from a father and a mother, a healthy father and a mother living in the house together. So I hate it when women talk about, oh, well, you know, my kids this, my kids that, and they don't need their dad. And yeah, they do. But getting back to the subject, this lady says, well, you know, this you know, the guy that my kid had her kid from, you know, he's a loser, he's this, he's a... Wait a second, lady. What about your daughter? She's the one that opened her legs to this guy, and she's the one that got pregnant by this guy. What's her responsibility, her accepting the responsibility for her part of what's taking place here? She's raising the kid on, well, you know what? Guess what? That's what happened when you play baby mama games. You get baby mama prizes. I stole that from someone, and he knows who he is. You doing things that's gonna cause you to be a baby mama. Guess what? You're gonna become a baby mama, and don't let them get it twisted. I hear some people like, oh, you know, I don't like to be called a baby's mama. I'm not a baby's mama. Well, okay, well, was the guy that you had the kid from, was that your husband? No, but we were in a committed relationship. No. Was it your husband? No. All right then. Is that your baby? Are you the mama of that baby? That's your baby daddy, and you a baby mama. Ain't no way around it. You know what I mean? Let's stop with the antics. Let's kill that noise, because you are what you are. You are what you made yourself into, and that's that. Accept the responsibility. Accept the responsibility and stop passing the buck for your dirty deeds. And you know what? Be careful, man. Be careful. Be careful. These women, they's tricksy like Schmeagol. They will try to get you to take care of their responsibilities in other ways, you know, and tell you stuff like, oh, you know, if you were a real man, you know, you do this and you do that. That's a way of guilting you into doing what they want you to do. And then the first thing you need to do is tell them, well, what do you know about a real man? Especially if she has kids by 3-4 different dudes. What do you know about a real man? Because more than likely, the guy that you had all these kids from, or the guys you had all these kids from, they're nowhere to be found, right? What do you know about a real man and what a real man's supposed to do? Have you ever seen a real man? You know, what do you know? You know in theory what you think a real man's supposed to be. So, you know, don't let them twist you up like that. Stay away from kids with women with lots of babies from different men, because it never turns out right, man. It just doesn't turn out well for you. Once again, like I told you in one of one in part 2 of this series, some states, man, you dating these chicks and you're around the kids for a certain amount of time, courts can hold you responsible for paying child support for a kid that's not even yours. And the dads could still be paying child support, but she still can get you on child support too. So just be careful with them. Like I said, they trick you like Smeagol. They want your precious. And your precious is your time, your energy, and your resources, like your money, man. You don't want to do that. Stay far away from them, man. Stay far away from them. And I'll hit you guys up with another video. I had to finish that series up because it was burning. It was like in my back pocket and it was burning in there, man. And I had to get that information to you guys. I had to finish up what I started. This is K Speaks, and I'm out.